Welcome everybody. Welcome to Soul Search with Jane Morton. And this week, our guest co-host is Kate May. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Hello. So, lovely Polly is on holiday, a well-earned little break. So we didn't want me just chatting all the time. So we thought we'd get the lovely Kate in because she's no novice to this sort of work. She does her own podcast show, I do believe, Kate, don't you? Your own lives.
Bit of everything.
Tell them all what you do.
So do a little bit of everything. Yeah, I've got a Diary of a Mystic podcast, which basically is what it says, things that I've got up to. Plus we look at astrology and the tarot for that week and the Feng Shui for that week. And little bits of inspiration. I do all sorts of different blogs, different write-ups for different magazines. And then predominantly my full-time work doing the tarot readings and the Feng Shui.
Oh, lovely. So you are very, very busy all the time doing stuff. And so obviously the Feng Shui, I've always been interested in since quite young. I'd like to think that I had a natural knack of Feng Shui growing up when I first got my home. But we've done a couple of events together where you've done talks, and I have found it really, really fascinating. So how is that taking off? Because I know that was something you were really excited about doing.
Really well, really well. So I qualified just over a year ago and started doing it professionally only about 6 months ago. And it's going really well. The pennies dropped because it's a very, very intense course. You know, lots of compass directions and figures adding up and floating numbers, and I'm no good really at compass directions, but I somehow got my head round it and I'm loving it. In fact, floating the numbers now is one of my favourite parts of it.
So with the compass directions, do you actually have a compass to show you? Yeah, and that gives you where that person's house is. So was the training quite intense?
Very.
Yeah.
And I've just started another training course, which is even more intense. And that's 6-7 months worth. That'll finish in October, that one. And this takes to a whole new level.
A lot of hard work then.
Yes.
And I know that people obviously associate you with your spiritual side, but Feng Shui has got a spiritual way about it, hasn't it? It is about balance.
Energy,
yeah. So, but people assume that sort of work is all we just airy-fairy and we can just do this sort of thing. But you've really put your heart and soul into that, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, for me, spiritual work isn't just doing spiritual work, is not doing cards. Spiritual work for me is like being kind and caring and doing things for the good of God, if you like. It's nothing to do, you know, I know some people that are really good mediums but are a real dick as well. They're not very spiritual. And then I know people that are very, very spiritual, but they haven't got a clue how to read the cards. So for me, being spiritual is totally different. You've got like, just because you know a few crystals, it doesn't mean to say you're a spiritual person. There's a difference between it all. But the Feng Shui, I mean, it's been going on however hundreds of years, and very much to do with energy. It connects to Taoism, which is about your own energy, your positive thinking, because there's like similar to manifestations. There's no point, you could have everything in place, but if you're a bitter, twisted person, doesn't matter what you do, your energy, you're still projecting something out that's not nice. So in the courses and in the teachings that I practice when I do people's home, there are elements of them having to change their mindset, being more positive, and to look at how they project their energy, what they focus their energy on.
So will you go back into those people? Because you've been to some lovely properties when I've seen you post them. I'm like, oh, I've even offered to drive you, haven't I? Just so I can go there. Because I do love unusual and beautiful homes anyway. But do you do a follow-up? So like go back 6 months later and you'll see how that's changed, or like, you know, like when you see it on programs where they renovate homes, you go and just say, look, have you done this energy right? Have you moved it where I said? Is that something you would do? Obviously, it is still quite new to you, isn't it? So you wouldn't probably have...
Yeah. So there's a consultation form, and in that form, I get to know what personality they are, what job they are, what they want to get out of it, who they've got living in their house, and the astrology connections with it. And then I stay with them for about 3 or 4 months after they've had the analysis. Then we go back and forth. If there's any issues, we do Zoom calls, because it can take, sometimes it's like days, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's months before you notice a difference. And sometimes, I mean, I did a house yesterday, lots of fire in the house, loads of fire she needs. So I'm expecting her to come back to me in a couple of weeks and say, I'm a bit stressed, I'm a bit anxious, because we would have put too much in. So we'll take a little bit out. So we go back and forth for a few months on WhatsApp, on Zoom, to make sure it's balanced. And then the first year that they've booked in with me, they get the following year's numbers because it changes every February. So rather than having the whole analysis again, all you need is the new numbers, the new remedies. So the first year that you book, you get the next year's free with me. So I will get back to them January, February next year with the new numbers around.
That was something that fascinated me when I was looking at your, because I obviously follow all your Feng Shui stuff because it, like I said, it really does fascinate me. So when you say new numbers, say like you've been in my house, I'm not letting you in my house in case you move it all, just so you know. I'm joking. But I have gone back and done tips. When you've talked, I've sat there and gone, oh, I might just move that. And it's worked. It has, I can honestly say it's worked. But like you said, is that because of my mindset? Because I've actually thought, do you know what? Yeah, that makes sense.
I think there's a little bit of placebo. I do think in anything, I think what you believe you create. So I think there is a bit of placebo in it. But the energy that shifts, the tips that I've given, I've had so much feedback from that. And, my boys and Cole, they're not into it, but they've seen the results. They've seen it.
As have I, because I've seen your post about it and they've all
Yeah.
done really
Yeah.
well, yeah. We could all
And
do a Feng Shui Kate May in our house, couldn't we,
yeah,
really?
little feng shui fairy popping
Pull her
in.
out the cupboard and get a few things done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So would you have to change something in the house? Say like I had everything in the right place now, but you'd come back in a year's time and we might have to adjust something then. When you talk about
You do just the remedies. So the remedies are the earth, fire, water, metal, red
okay.
earth. So they could be like metal is weights, for example. Earth is crystals. Water is running water, and fire is, I don't think I've got anything, very pale fire, but fire is anything orange. So this plant pot would be a remedy. So if next year, say this room was fire this year, and this is my southwest, then say next year we needed earth in here, all I would do, instead of having the orange pot, I would just have more crystals out because they're earth. So it's those tweaks. It's not
Yeah,
30 tweaks. It's
not
just the,
massive. Yeah, massive.
no, no.
Well, also am I right in thinking with the earth you can use like plants and wood?
That comes under wood, not earth.
That comes under wood,
That's
not okay.
wood remedy,
So it
yeah.
is quite a lot to sort of remember
It
if
is,
you
but you get it
really
all
have
in
a
the file.
clue.
Yeah, so in the file that you get, it's quite in-depth download that you get, and that tells you all about the elements, what to put where, and explains exactly what they mean. It tells you without the remedies, this is what the problem is. With the remedies, this is how it's going to cure it. So it does, yeah, there's quite a
Yeah.
lot of information in the
So
report.
I know, I mean, I was, funny enough, not last week, the week before, our show was on manifestation and we talked about the different ways people can manifest. And one of them was Feng Shui. And we did actually give you a little tweak. We said about your work. And obviously I have seen you talk. I don't think Polly has, but I have twice, I think now actually, because I come and videoed you at our own fair. So I do, and I like it. If I've got a subject I'm quite interested in, I do enjoy it. But I always have had an abundance, what I called an abundance jar in my house. And I always had it in the left-hand corner of the home. But I never knew whether it had to be in southeast. And I think actually looking back, it probably was always in southeast, but I just knew it had to be in the left. I don't know why I thought I had to be in the left. I think someone probably told me down the line spiritually. And I used to be a glass jar and I used to put pound coins in and I used to say thank you and I used to do a little, and then I'd put other little crystals in, the abundance. But after watching, I think the first time I listened to you talking, I came home and put the Ace of Pentacles in. Not obviously the card deck I use because that'd be silly. But I've got a pack that I don't use. I know you do, Rider Waite. I've never really liked them. So my original pack of Rider Waite, I took the Ace of Pentacles out, but I gave it a bit of love and attention because I thought, well, I know you're not my favourite pack, but I still love you. Put the Ace of Pentacles in. I think a week later I went and got some Chinese coins and put them in. And then I put, what was the other one? The 10 of Pentacles in. I thought, oh, I'm on a roll. And I was having little tweaks. I'm still not millionaire and I've still got loads of money coming in, but with situations that were coming up, I was like, oh, for God's sakes, then money did pop in to cover it. So I'm not abundantly getting loads of money, but it was tweaking my finances to a better situation where I could manage. So I thought, oh, this is quite handy. I removed all my rubbish out of the hall. I haven't got a big porchway, but I had the Rouhani manuals that I sell stuck there in boxes. I thought, oh, that's clutter. I went and moved them out of the way. That said, I didn't know where to put them because everywhere I put them was going to give me some serious.
Northeast is the best for that. Northeast.
I worked that one out then. So I moved them out and I put a nice money tree plant on my shoe rack, which I do need, unfortunately, because I know that's a bit of a clutter. But and I put it on there because it's facing southeast, and I thought, right, and I actually felt that flow. But like you said, was I thinking, oh, I feel better in myself, or was it just something that had just twigged me a little bit to be a little bit more proactive and positive in my life?
Yeah, it could be both. So if something works, and we don't need to over question how it works. If I've got extra money coming in, it could be that. It could be placebo. Who cares? It's coming in. Don't
Yeah,
know.
I didn't overthink it too much.
Yeah. But the thing is with the left-hand corner, so you've got so many different, there's about 120 different schools of Feng Shui. The one I practice is called Flying Stars, and that's more bespoke. So that looks at people's home, northwest, southeast, and the money area is just southeast. In the very general one, in the traditional one that doesn't use flying stars, they have it, the money area as your far left corner. So it's just a different type. So when you go on Google, it will talk about the far left one because that's a very general area. But
Yeah.
in the bespoke one that we do with the compass directions, that far left corner could be your love area. It might not be your money, but your southwest, your southeast is. But because I studied not from Google, I was too young when I first started. It was at school, so we didn't have Google then. But I remember reading, I think it was Lillian Tu's book, and she was traditional, so she spoke about the far left. So I have a money plant and citrine, and I've always had it, whatever house I've lived in the far left corner. So even though I know that that doesn't necessarily represent the southeast now, in my head, that's still an area that's prosperity. So I have it in both. I have it in both. But working in the actual zones that are bespoke to your home does make it more energetic, definitely.
So
Yeah.
another question then. Mine, I did move to the right because of the southeast, but upstairs in my bedroom, exactly the same room above, I've actually got another one in the left. So is that still, I'm sort of edging my
The
bets there?
southeast, I would, yeah. I mean, I don't practice the traditional, so I wouldn't tell people to put it in the far left.
No.
But if that far left just happens to be your southeast, yeah, always double layer.
Yeah.
So whatever you've got in 3 layers, if you've got a roof room, so yeah, whatever you've got remedy down, you would put again up
Oh,
above it.
lovely. So I'm definitely on a roll then. And the other thing I did, and actually I know this followed through, I did the little red ribbon round my waste pipe in my bathroom, that horrible room that's not got a lot going for it, let's be fair. And I have had problems with my plumbing, not my personal plumbing, if anyone's watching, but my plumbing in this house since I moved. I'm very much now near a very damp part of the city, well, you've only got to look at the streets outside to see how the drains are blocking up. I'm too close to the sea. Although I live near the sea, the other side of the city, this is way too close to the sewagey, I think, the areas. Well, actually, I was on the sewage point, but this is not good over here. So I've had a lot of problems with water not going away. I've had those horrible little flies that was coming out at one point when I moved in, but the house had been stagnant for quite a while. So I've been flushing all that through, and then I thought, I'm putting the ribbon around it. And I put the ribbon around it, and I started noticing the sink, and I've had a new bathroom put in as well, and it still wasn't working, and it has started to flow away, and we've seen no flies in the bathroom.
Magic.
So I'm taking that one, I'm having that. But I know that people that have come, you did a talk for positive living, you've done a talk for Horndean, Portsmouth Positive Living, and people that I know that have been there, and actually one person that helped run Portsmouth went home and did the same thing because she said she was quite intrigued by what you were saying. Even for the people, I mean, we know a lot of people in our spiritual realm anyway, but just talking to people that have even watched you do it or passed it on to someone else, it is really getting talked about, all this. And I do, like I said, I find it fascinating. Now, you're also very much into astrology. You know your astrology in tarot, which I don't think there's very many out there that do. That said, I don't. I do and I don't. And I admit that I read tarot in my own intuitive way, but I do understand the card. And my tarot actually has an astrology symbols in it, which is funny. But I loved the thought of astrology as a teenager, but never followed it through. Do you think your astrology is helping you with that feng shui as well? Is that all part of it?
It's no, the Western astrology isn't. The Chinese astrology is there though. So I know a little bit more now about the Chinese astrology
And
because the
is that
Chinese.
more confusing, or like was that harder to switch over where you've done so much on based on the
It's
normal?
so different. It's so different. So
Yeah.
like, I'm the rabbit. It's the animal. It's the animal signs. And within the Feng Shui, you have different positions that work better for you, where you might sleep that's better, where you can sit, what is your success area. There's different areas of the home that's going to suit you. So that comes under the Chinese astrology numbers and your animal there. And also you've got so many different layers to it. You've got different animals from the Chinese and different Chinese gods that sit in a good position or a not so good position in each one of those rooms as well. Sometimes you've got to be careful that you don't face X, Y, or Z, because you could be facing a god that doesn't want to be faced, or that it's so many layers to it. But it's so different.
Totally different. So you've got to try and switch off from that then, and not.
Yeah, don't think about it, because
think
it's not
about
part
it.
of it. So it's just, it would be like if you learn, I don't know, if you could speak French, but you're talking to someone English, you wouldn't slip back
You
into
wouldn't do
French.
it, no.
No, so just, separate.
Getting on to the Chinese then, we were talking before we both went on air about the Chinese New Year and the shedding of the snake, that everyone, I think for the first time in a long time, I've really heard so many people, not even spiritual people, well, I say not, I think everyone's spiritual, they just don't realise it, but not people that I wouldn't have thought followed that spiritual path, especially some of my acquaintances and friends. And everyone's like sharing posts on Facebook. They're putting it up. They're talking about getting rid of this awful snake and moving forward with the horse. What can you tell people about that? Because really is talked about this year.
Yeah, it's loads this year. And I think, algorithms pick up things when you talk about it. So that's probably why as well. I don't think the snake has been bad. I had one of my best years ever last year. Best years ever.
I remember you saying it was one of your best years.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
can't say it was my worst year because I don't think I've had a great decade, and I have actually joked about that. So for me, I'm shredding a decade, and I truly am, and I'm hoping I'm going into a better decade, because that decade can actually disappear. And there were some really good things in that decade, but there were some awful things as well. So for me, I don't overthink it. I don't overthink New Year. When people do New Year's resolutions, they mean nothing to me. To me, January the 1st is January the 1st. We should start each day as we mean to go on. And we should, if we've done something one day that we're not happy with, we just get up the next day and start it. So I don't have a big thing on, it's January the 1st, it's a new year. But like I said, this Chinese New Year has really been quite a big thing. So you've had a good year. For all those people that feel they haven't, what would you say about going forward?
So it's all down to the choices. And so I don't have my new year in January. I made a decision, I don't know, it was last year or whenever, to start mine in March, because that's when we have the shoots coming up. That's when the sun starts to come. Doesn't make sense for me to have January as a new year, because everything's dormant and dead here. It's a silly time. And actually having that extra 3 months has been such a game changer, because I don't feel pressured at Christmas to finish everything, get everything done for the new year. So my new year is roughly around now anyway, which comes in line with the Chinese New Year. It just happens to feel right for me. But I also like my birthday as a new year. I like the Astrology New Year, which is in April for Aries. I also like September. So I have pockets of New Year where I just feel like this is a new vibe.
Yeah.
You have choices around all of it. So with the horse, it is very fast energy. It is memento, but you can have a choice whether you choose to get burnt out and everything go really fast, or whether you choose to be in control of it. It's down to what you want to focus on, where you want to put your energy. With the snake, all it did was shed a skin and moved into a new skin. So if you were in a positive mindset, that could be seen as something totally different as if you were in a negative mindset there. So it's all down to you, how you perceive it, as to how it will have the action. So it's not necessarily a good or bad year. It will be definitely down to what your positive thinking is, how you're going to, where you're going to focus that energy, really.
Yeah. So do you think some people will still struggle then going forward?
Some people will, because they're in that mindset. You could give someone £100 million and they still struggle because they're in that mindset.
Yeah, so realistically, they've all got to up their game and their vibration a little bit.
Personal responsibility, and not to allow, not to wait for things to happen and then blame everyone in the universe when it doesn't, but to do something about it. Ask yourself, what can I do to make this happen? I want this to happen. What can I do about it? Let's do it. If I can't do anything, let's park it and not stress. So it comes all down to personal responsibility
It's
for me.
quite interesting because some of my own clients have mentioned about the Chinese New Year, and I've done the usual, "Well, yeah, yeah, I know about it. Yeah, I don't really study it. Not really, can't give you a lot of information on it. Go on Kate May's page, she can." But I find it funny when they go, and it's been friends again as well and family members that have gone, "Oh, I can't wait for the Chinese New Year
Mm.
because we'll shed that." And I sort of sit and think, "Well, do it now. Do it
Yeah,
now."
there'll still be changes, you know, there'll still be
Yeah.
people that get divorced, there's still be gonna people that's gonna die, there's still people that are gonna break up with someone, gonna change a job, gonna move house. So it's not gonna not happen. The horse does, it's all about alignment. So the horse helps you to move into alignment. It's gonna bring bigger breakthroughs. If you think 1966 was the last fire horse, not the last horse, but the last fire horse. So swinging 60s, there was huge breakthroughs in 66, big political breakthroughs in 66,
Mhm.
liberation. And that with the Aquarian energy that we've got, we've also, you know, astrology wise, we've got Saturn going into an easier sign. So there's a lot more flexibility now. There's a lot more movement that's coming. So the whole energy is going to be moving people from one stage into another, whatever that will be, and into more alignment as to where they should be more. If they're going to fight that, it's going to be more uncomfortable. But if they just wait for it to happen, they'll probably be really disappointed, because the horse is also in fire, is about power and giving us our power. We've got another 8 years. In 24, women particularly, but we moved from the masculine energy in period 8 into period 9, which is the rising phoenix. And we've got that for 20 years. So another 18 years. And that's about obviously rising out of the ashes, the rising phoenix, but it's the red and the fire. For women particularly, this is like a stand-up time. There'll probably be, you know, strong women in politics in the next 18 years from it there.
Well, look, they just anointed the first woman archbishop. See there, I don't watch media much, but I caught a glimpse of that. I'm sure that's what they called her. I mean, it must have been because it was
Wow.
being televised.
That will
But
definitely be
that in
part of it.
itself, I thought, wow, I'm not a church person, but I did think it's about time that changed.
Yeah, that will be part of it. There will be more women rising there. But even men are going to start to stand up for themselves. But in the whole energy, from the snake to the horse to all the astrology links that's coming in, it's all about standing in your own power, being more accountable for your own actions, not being a sheep so much, recognizing what you can do, what you can't do. And the quicker that people recognize that, if they take responsibility and don't wait for things to happen, but actually own it, then the more harmonious, the better their life will be
Yeah.
anyway. Wait for things to happen. You know, they could be waiting a long time. It might happen eventually. But the horse's energy will help people move from one stage to another. But it depends on your choices, whether you allow that horse to like run wild and then get burnt out, or whether you're like, have a hold of the reins and be like, hold on a minute, I can see that things are moving. I want to be in a bit more control. I'm not going to say yes to everything. I'm going to pause. I'm going to steady the horse, not going to let it go in front of me. So it depends how you want to navigate it there.
Yeah, so it is still controlling your own destiny
Oh, always.
without reading too much into what you think is gonna
Yeah,
happen. I know we all have this idealization that it happens for a reason. Well, not all of
I
us
don't think it
actually.
does.
Yeah, all that's what they call it, when people talk about karmic stuff, that makes me laugh anyway, because it's our karmic journey, it's not other people's, and if whatever you think they deserve, that's not us asked to make a decision.
Karmic is a reaction.
Yeah.
It's a reaction to an action there, but it's not your stuff. So if somebody's being really horrible, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get bad things going back to them. It means that their vibration around is at the lower point there. So they're going to attract that energy. But if you start getting in and lowering your vibration to be tit for tat, then you're going to start to attract that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that bad things are going to happen to that person just because they've done bad things, because there'll be a different karmic vibration around it. Best
Exactly.
just to not feed into it. Just like just do your own thing, you know, do
And it
you.
is hard for people when something's happened to them personally, because people do. You can't help. We're still humans. We're still emotional people. We can't help taking things personally. But I think the beauty of our work, and this is how I feel anyway. The beauty of our work is that we are able to try and bring that back in. We can have our little outbursts. We might think things at the time, but we can actually bring it back in a bit and understand that for whatever reason, these are all experiences we're learning, and we can't, like you said, we can't wish bad things to other people or keep staying in that negative vibe. We've got to come out of it and try and plod on and move forward, because it's not going to help us, and we can't change what I mean, we've all had them and we've talked about this before, where people come for us for readings and want to know if their loved one, the one they love, is gonna come back to them, or is it their soulmate, or is it their twin flame? Or on one case, and I always remember this when we've both been hosts on SPTV, where I had someone ask if their soulmate would be back, and the whole thing was, I was reading it, and I was sort of reading it thinking, "Oh, something tells me they've never been with this soul person." And I was right. Basically, they were wishing for their soul person and asking me, will they come back? Because it wasn't actually somebody they'd ever been involved with. They just wanted to be involved with. I wasn't sure that it was borderline stalking at the time. But people are so desperate sometimes to get some kind of connection or some kind of anger or some kind of payback, that they're not seeing the bigger picture. We are responsible for ourselves, and
Mm.
only us are responsible for ourselves. I did a very weird thing last, I'll say weird, it wasn't weird. Lovely Kerry treated me to the Derren Brown show in, so,
Oh, yeah, my friends went to that.
and obviously his whole game originally was to say that psychic mediums
Mm.
were not real. So for a psychic medium to sit in the audience, I found it quite entertaining. But like yourself, we both like to see the science, the logic. We like to be grounded. We like to understand things. We like to see other reasons behind things. We are not fluffy, airy psychic mediums by far. We've both talked about this. We have different ideas on things because it's only natural, but we are quite grounded, earthy signs, the both of us.
There go
So,
Taurus.
yeah. So I was fascinated to what, I mean, it was a fascinating show. I was fascinated. And I was fascinated more because I've always said to Kerry, I always wonder with the mind how much of our psychic mediumship stuff we're doing is a control, maybe a mechanism, or what we're perceiving or putting out and what people are taking back. So I'm always open minded on that. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. But he did say at the end that although people had been slightly hypnotized by him, there was people laying on the floor. He got everyone to do this exercise where they had to put their fist to the wall. I mean, I obviously shouldn't say too much, but it does end this week, so it doesn't matter. Where everyone had to follow it in a trance state. See, a fair few people did. I wasn't getting up. I got two dodgy legs. Although I felt a pull, my control was stronger to not do anything I didn't want to do, because I've obviously trained myself not to do anything I don't want to do. But there was people laying on the floor, and he was like touching their head and bringing them back. And Kerry kept saying, don't you think it's fascinating? I said, I do think it's fascinating. I don't know if I think it's more fascinating that people are so easily controlled and how they're so easily controlled, but it definitely was fascinating and definitely worth a watch. And if any psychic medium's watching this, I'd say go and watch it, if not for nothing else, to watch a different alternative. But he said at the end, we are all responsible for ourselves, and only ourselves can look after ourselves. He probably said it in a bit more of a better way because he's been on telly for years. But it sat there and smiled and thought, but he's so right. It doesn't matter what his views are, whether he's an illusionist, whatever. I mean, what's it? He's known as a mentalist and illusionist. Doesn't matter even if he's ousting out mediums saying that we're obviously manipulating people, which is basically what he was doing yesterday. So who's wrong and who's right? As long as we're doing it with the right intention and integrity, as we always talk about. But it was fascinating because I thought, fair play, I did have great respect for him. I may not have totally got it all, but I enjoyed watching it because we have to be open-minded there. I didn't sit there going, hey, I'm not having this, I'm a psychic medium and I'm not. I actually just enjoyed it for being me. Jane sitting there going to a show that was quite entertaining to watch. And when I say entertaining, I mean in the fact it really kept you mesmerised all the way through. So it shows how easily people are manipulated,
Yeah.
how easily people can be put in that placebo or that bubble of thinking, oh, if I do that, that's going to happen. Because he got an exercise at the beginning that we all had to do, and the majority of the people did do it the same way, but he was basically putting that idea into your head, which I guessed in the time he built up to it. So again, am I a bit savvy or a bit cynical? I don't know, because I was very much aware that no one was going into my head last night and doing anything I didn't want to do. I've come for the fun and only the fun. But it does always make me come away and think about the job that we do. It always makes me go, anything makes me go away and think about the job that we do, because I do question sometimes, how do we do it? It is a strange world that we live in, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen him, and my dad's been to hypnosis people before, and they can never do him. I think if you've got a controlling personality, that's it. You know, I suspect there'll be a lot of people there that did go under, and I suspect there's a lot of people there that just didn't, but they didn't want to look a dick, so they just went with it.
I did say that to Kerry as well, and she went, "Really?" I
Yeah,
went, "Oh, don't believe that every one of
yeah.
them
I
people
would have
walk
thought
in
so.
there." It's
I
like
would
we
have.
get that in groups, don't we? We get that at
Yeah,
demos. We know that happens.
but yeah, don't know. I think it's good to be open minded. It's good
That
to
is
go.
actually Kate's cat for anyone that's watching
Yes,
that.
so
She
she'll
hasn't
come
got she
up.
hasn't got a great big furry rabbit tail or something for good luck either. That is her cat.
Yeah, yeah, my good luck cat. He was trying to pop up and then scratching me. Yeah, just whatever floats your boat, really, as long as like you're enjoying it, raises your vibration, and it doesn't make you feel depressed. Then do it because
Exactly, and
everything.
I did come home. I mean, I've had a lot of personal stuff going on. It really did raise my vibration
Yeah,
yesterday to just do something normal without worrying too much about what I've been dealing with on a day-to-day basis with my mum and stepmum. So for me, it was great anyway. And
yeah.
actually, even if I'd watched something I didn't agree with, I'd still watch it out of respect because I like to. I don't have to agree with everybody, and I don't have to believe in everything. As long as it's all done in a nice, fair way. Like I said, with our Angel Board chat last week, I don't like them. I can't make myself like them. They are Ouija boards. I think they're in the wrong hands of a lot of people. Not Tina, because I have great respect for what Tina does. But she had good answers and good vibration to talk about that, where I was just saying how I feel. And it was a nice, pleasant debate on people's different views. We have different views on life after death, don't we? About spirits and where they go. I think we've
I
talked.
don't know what yours are. I don't know.
Well, obviously, we do the spirit release, so we believe there
Oh,
are earthbound. You don't believe there's
no,
earthbound. That doesn't mean either of
not
us are
Earthbound,
wrong.
trapped. I
Yeah,
believe Earthbound. I don't believe that there's trapped
trapped.
spirits. Yeah,
So
I think
everyone has a different view on lots of things, but it doesn't make anyone. If you start telling people what they should believe or what they should do, then you're
wouldn't
not.
it be boring if we all thought the same?
Yeah. And
Wouldn't it
also,
be
how could we
boring?
have an interesting conversation if we all did the
Exactly.
same?
Yeah, and
So
what's right for one person, like, my idea of heaven is gonna be my idea. Someone else's idea be different because it's all thought process. It's all right done on our vibration. Some people, you've got the Belinda Carlisle theory, that actually believe this is heaven, that we are in heaven, and we're having a experience as part of heaven there. If you Google the Belinda Carlisle, theory, it explains
not
that.
as in the singer Belinda Carlisle,
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Really? All right.
Her song, heaven is a place on earth. There's a theory that we are.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, that we are dead, basically. It's a bit more into that and that. So there's so many different theories, and we don't know the truth because we're not dead. We don't think that we are.
Well, we don't think we're dead, but
We
it
don't
could be an illusion.
see an illusion, but it could be. And it's just fascinating to find out. I've changed my mind over the years of different things that I used to believe in, I don't believe in now. And there might be things that I believe now. If I could get proof, then I could change my mind. I don't care if I change my mind. I don't care if someone says to me, "Oh, but you said that." Well, I'll change my mind, mate. I'm not stuck in anything. But I think that it's just different. Everyone's on a different vibration, and I believe massively in angels. Cole don't, but it's not an issue.
You're
So
not arguing over your tea over it, are you?
no, exactly. It's just like whatever you're into, and some people are going to resonate with that, some people aren't,
So when
and
you
that's
say
all.
you believe in them, do you believe in the actual whole archangel, all the angels, and Cole
Yeah.
don't believe there's any angels at all?
He's got a different way of thinking about them, not necessarily in the way that I do with like Archangel Michael and the energy that he will bring, or Archangel Ariel, the energy that they will bring. He doesn't, I don't think, because he's probably never looked into that, but it's just not his thing. So it's not that he doesn't believe in angels, but just not in the same way.
Doesn't get that. I do sort of get that. We should have got Cole on, shouldn't we, as a guest? We might have to redo
We'll
that.
have to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that'd be interesting because I sort of get where he's coming from. I've never really, says the Rouhani teacher and ambassador, resonated with the angels as much as I have ascended masters. But then I have people tell me they don't resonate with the ascended masters and don't believe there's ascended masters. So I do get why people are pulled to one to the other. I do see it, there's angels as such, but I don't see them in the light that everyone else probably does.
I think it's when people say they do, and there are some brilliant angel readers, but I think there is, again, lots of people that say they're angel readers, they're going to do an angel reading. Now, if you think logically, the angels, you would expect them to be very close to the God source, yeah? So if you think that you're given a message from the angel, it should be shit off. It should be wow. It should be clear. It should be precise. It should be like something that's going to blow your mind, because the angelic energy would be that high source. I haven't seen, apart from one person, I've not seen that evidence where that angel reading is that type. I've only seen it being very basic, that they're reading an angel card and they're just like, oh, Archangel Michael's strength, protection. You need some strength around you at the moment. Now, if you're really connecting to Archangel Michael, you should be given some shit hot stuff there. Do you know what I mean?
Or the client would be feeling some shit hot stuff. Is that
Yeah, yeah.
it's a tricky one, because I get that as well. In trance, and again, this would be interesting to talk to Cole about, and with Polly and Cole's experiences, their long-term experiences. I still think I'm very much a novice at trance. I'm very much a student at trance. I may be doing some strange things in trance, but I still think I probably won't live long enough on this earth plane to ever be at that level. And I certainly wouldn't be doing it up on a stage for viewing, but I'm quite happy doing it in a group, in a smaller circle. But
Why
I
is that? Why are you happy to do it in a small circle but not in a large public
Because
circle?
I don't feel well. I don't get. I don't like doing mediumship. Let's be fair. So I'm very much a private one-to-one, and I prefer smaller circles and where questions and debates can be done. I'm not very big on the showmanship, and for me, when I go up on stage and do mediumship, although I'd like to think I'm still giving the right evidence through the people, I still don't like that audience so it sounds awful, I know, but not desperate, but everyone so wants a message, so wants something, and
Yeah.
I'm too much. I think it's the psychic counselor in me, if I was truthful. I'm very mindful of what information can come out, and it worries me sometimes. And I think with trance, I'm probably not confident enough for that. But also, I didn't talk until last year, and even that I wasn't sure about until someone recorded me. I just feel I'm not any way at that stage to do that, so I wouldn't be comfortable with that. That said, my experiences of trance and obviously what I did with spirit release gives me confidence enough to explain things to people. But again, I would never do that on my own. I see myself as the understudy of Polly. She laughs at that, but I don't care. She's been doing it over 20 years. I have not, and I will not be that experienced. But in trance, I did have a very higher being that came through that in my head, because I was obviously still like trance, going, no, 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 no. And I was arguing with it in my head. I actually did think I needed some therapy afterwards, and I couldn't get my head around it. So I questioned stuff in my trance because it didn't make sense why they would want to talk through me. And I didn't, and like you said, why they weren't given enough shit hot information, or were they just testing me? I don't know. So again, I've sat very much in, oh no, that's rubbish. And now then I've like gone, okay, well, if either I had an imposter or that was them, but are they not giving me too much at the moment because I can't cope with it? Or am I fighting it back? Who knows? So it is interesting with Cole's theory and your theory and what I've been doing, because I feel like it's two-faced Jane at the moment. It's like, I don't know, that can't be happening, but actually, well, it did. I'm not making it up. It happened. Well, that can't be happening. Oh, but it did. And I'm very much like that. And I'm battling my own trancing beings because it's like, no, no way. So I don't know. But like you, when I've not believed something and then something's happened, I've had to sort of go, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I'm wrong, or if if I'm wrong about something or somebody, I will admit that. And then, because you do get the people that love it in this game, because everyone's so friendly, aren't they? They're so friendly and helpful, so spiritual. Not, we have got loads of nice people, but we have encountered, and we've laughed about this when me and you topped and tailed in a bed knob and broomsticks bed.
Back in
We
London.
we never really had a vibe together. We were always sort of pulling away from each other. We never really associated ourselves together. It was a little bit like that. And there we are, toppling and tailing in one of the worst Airbnbs I think we could have been in. But anyway, it was fun. Doing an absolute mental weekend, which was funny, but actually really entertaining. It was so funny, wasn't it? I mean, you go, and I don't even, I'm a cat person, and there you are, tarot reading for dogs. It was a funny old weekend, but we learned a little bit more about each other. I realised that we had quite similar ways about ourselves. We were probably just pulling away from those energies,
No,
probably.
I never pulled away from you. I just don't think we were ever.
We weren't in enough circles. We were in
Right.
places, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's funny, isn't it, how people can change, or can change their views, or can just change. And then you'll get the ones going, oh, well, you said you didn't do that. Well, you said you didn't like, well, it doesn't matter. We can go, actually, I was wrong. I'm wrong. So,
Yeah,
own it, I'm wrong.
yeah,
I
and it
think
might have been right at that point, and then it's wrong, it's not.
yeah, and also, isn't that evolving then when we realise, God, we were really wrong? I fought for years the stuff that was going on in my head psychically. I literally fought it for years. And I know there's probably many out there, especially my ex-husband, going, what? Shut up. But I fought it, and I fought it privately and in a battle in my own, which was really quite a struggle, actually, looking back. So there's nothing wrong with now going, well, yeah, I am one, but it's just taken me about 40 years to admit it. But it is funny, isn't it, how people we have to evolve in this work. If we don't evolve in this work, and if we don't learn to accept that we were always learning, we are always going to be learning something. We're always going to be open to teachings because we have to keep evolving with it because it's getting higher and higher, isn't it? The stuff. I mean, there's so many people out there now doing this, that, and the other. I can't even keep up with things. But there's nothing wrong with accepting that. If you start going, "Oh, I don't need to learn nothing. Oh no, I can do it. I can do it all." Well,
Yeah, I
then
mean, we're here for like an experience, and then we take our soul, it goes back into the spirit world, and then the spirit world learns from us. So
yeah,
that's evolving,
yeah.
it's evolving. So to say that you're not going to be learning and that you've learned, I don't know any good teachers that say they know everything. I
But
really don't.
I have met a few psychics and mediums, separate, not always together, and they think they have. And that's where I've actually sat back and thought, I know I came into the working side of it late, but the stuff I learnt was the stuff I was doing and seeing was quite young, but I really did need someone to guide me because I really didn't have a clue what to do with it all. For me now, at the ripe old age of 60, because I am the last, that was the other breakthrough in 1966, I was born. For me to sit here and go, I know it all now, I don't know it all. Some things come to me and I think, how do I know that? Well, obviously, somewhere along the line I knew it, but I'm more open about it. So where I'm more relaxed and open about it, I can take that in a bit more. But there's no way I'm going to pass on this lifetime being a know-it-all and knowing it all. And even though people would say in my normal day-to-day work, I am a know-it-all, I really am not in this work. And I think that's, like I said, that's why I'm not comfortable sitting in trance on the stage. I wouldn't be sitting, I'm not overly comfortable with mediumship on a stage. It's not the talking, because as anyone knows me, I don't shut up. That doesn't bother me. I have no stage fright. It's the deliverance. I remember somebody saying to us, and you know him as well. He said to me once, you only have to give 40% evidence in mediumship. And I remember sitting back thinking, well, that's why I'm not a medium then, because there's no way I'd be given 40%. I'm very much a perfectionist, the Virgo in me, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I very much would have thought I'd at least have to give 90%, and even that's missing my bar. I would expect more. And it knocked me a bit thinking, well, that's not acceptable. That really isn't acceptable in my book. And that is probably, I'm my own worst critic and enemy. So I would have then thought, well, you won't meet that target, so you're not good enough. So I'm my worst enemy, really, because I don't see my potential. I then see that I need to have perfection. And if I can't have perfection, I don't want to do it. Who knows? But we definitely will get Cole on, because that'd be an interesting chat. And it's funny how you're married, you both work in the same field, but you have such different views. It's quite interesting. At least you don't have a boring conversation of agreeing with
We
each
don't
other.
ever talk about it. We don't ever talk about it. Literally, as soon as we're home, we're back to being,
Switch off and go back to being
yeah,
you.
husband and wife, mum, stepdad. Yeah, we don't have those sort of conversations. The only time that we have them is if, like, he did a trance dem last week at a church, and there were some fabulous questions, and then that got me thinking, oh, what about this? What about that? And then I'll ask him on the way home, and then it triggers me thinking for the next couple of days, like what you just said, when you go into trance. I do that, but I don't call it trance. I just call it sitting in the power, where I go into that altered state and have those conversations with my guides and work out what's what, get the information. And then I'll go and I say to him, blah, blah, blah. But because he's done it in the evening, he'll be like rolling his eyes like, oh God, I don't want to talk about it at home. But he's the only one I know. The other lady died, really. The only one I know that has got that amount of knowledge about the spirit world there. There's one other lady that I've just found that I'm like, yes, I'm definitely going to talk to her about it for really good knowledge. But because of his experience and because of the language that he uses with his guys, just fascinates me. It
Yeah.
fascinates me. So I learned a lot just like last week. But as a rule, we don't talk about it unless he's got me on a little bit of a thing from a trance
So you
dem.
just want to ask some questions, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, which I get, because for anyone that's watching and don't know what trance is, it is a very strange, it's addictive. It's very addictive. I swore I'd never do it, and it is addictive, and you are quite fascinated by it. Even like you said, even when it's light trance and you're aware of stuff, it's still addictive. There's still an element of like that's when you are sitting in your power, even feeling that energy around you is really bizarre. I've never experienced anything like it. That's the truth. And some of the things I
Well,
get in my
your
head.
mind is still conscious and asking the questions, you know, aren't you? You're still
Yeah,
there.
it is so and I used to think, "Well, that I'm not doing it right. I can't be doing it right." But obviously there are times when I'm right down, I don't know anything, but the fact I was having these arguments in my head used to make me think, "Well, you've got a lot to learn." I thought it's a stubborn side of me. But we
I
will
know.
talk about that with the experts because I said I don't see myself as an expert. I will happily support and guide people in some ways and obviously we teach them to sit in their power, but in as far as going right down deep and giving that knowledge, no, I don't think I'm ever at that level. Before we go, let's do tarot. Come on, because we're both tarot readers. You've been doing it since God knows when. I remember you telling us about when you went and up the pier, met, was it Cole's mum?
Mum, so I was about 16, so I'm 50 now, so whatever how many years that is. Yeah, I worked doing astrology for a couple at a pier, and then she read my palm and said, "You're married twice and you'll work in America." And I thought, no, I didn't even want to go to America. And I thought, no, I think I was engaged. So I must have been 17, or maybe nearly 17. I knew I was due to get engaged to someone then. And then, yeah, got with Cole 30 years later and was with his mum down Southsea Pier, down Bournemouth Pier, and she was describing this little booth that she worked at, and I thought that sounds familiar. And she said, "Oh, we had this little girl do astrology. Our friend Ron got her," and I was like, "Ron's my uncle. I was the little girl." And Cole was obviously the second husband. Obviously, we've worked in America, so it was just bizarre, yeah, really bizarre. So yeah, I started very early, 15, 16. Started and then went professional late 20s, early 30s. So yeah, a few years now.
And you've got not one but two decks. Is it two?
I've got one main deck, one tarot deck out. I've got one oracle deck out.
Which is the one that's got you on it. Is that the
Yeah,
one?
the
Yeah.
Mystic
Yeah.
Methods deck. Yeah.
So do it, and you've got your books. You've got your diary. You've got what else?
I've got the diary. I've got the tarot and tools manifestation. I've got different workbooks, different tarot books there. Most of it is now all on. There's some books out, I think, on Amazon, but most of it's now on downloads. The diary's on Amazon, and I think the tarot and tools might be on Amazon. And then I'm obviously doing the Feng Shui book, Feng
Yeah.
Shui manifestation and
So when
tarot.
do you sleep? When do you sleep?
My house is so balanced with all the feng shui. I'm as cool as a cucumber. There's no stresses. Everything's fine. So I get so much spare time
So it
in
just
between.
falls into place and you don't even have to stress. So yeah, so I definitely need to do more practice on that then. I did actually look because you've also got a course going online that's going to start soon. Mondays and Thursdays, I believe it's going to be. I did look at that because I thought, oh, I'm so fascinated in that. Obviously, I can't do Mondays because me and Polly teach, but then I looked for Thursday, could I? And I was like, I think for me at the moment with my personal stuff and my mum and stepmum, I've got to literally wind it in a bit and say, I'm even thinking of stepping back a little bit from my own one-to-one readings and actually just prioritise the work that I really enjoy. I'm not saying I don't enjoy readings to anyone that's watching, they've got rugby booking me, but there is my passion has been spirit release. That has really taken me to a different level. And my teaching, I love teaching, especially Rahani. So I think I've reached the ripe old age where I've got to start prioritizing what works for me. But I think in the future, I definitely will be looking at that because it is just so fascinating. So for anyone watching, go on Kate's page and have a look because it is fascinating. It's all online, so you can still sit in your PJs with a cup of tea if that's not too non-feng shui. And is there anything you'd like to add with Kate? You've been an absolute godsend coming on for my co-host this week because I was going to go on my own. So it's been really nice having you on. But is there anything you would like to end with?
Particular?
No?
No, nothing springs to mind particular. I would just say like do things that make you feel good, whatever, because that's where success comes from. And if you don't like it, don't do it. If you do,
Okay.
do it. That's my
One last question before we go. How do you feel when people use tarot as a way of constantly making decisions? I know in some cases it's good for like career and a house move or something like that if you're just sort of sitting on the fence a bit. But how do you feel about people that literally live their life by tarot. I have a few clients that literally feel they have to have a reading every time something changes, and sometimes that's a little bit too near to the last one.
Well, I do if I've got a question, I do my own. I can do my own every week on a question there. It'd be quite expensive if I was to go to someone, and I only go to one person once a year anyway. But yeah, it's unhealthy if they're relying on it to make, again, it all boils down to personal responsibility. Can help give clarity and insight, absolutely, but they've got free will. So, I explained that at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm just going to say what the cards mean, but they've got free will, and if they're starting to, it's two ways, because some people get really bad anxiety, and actually having readings can calm that anxiety because they get to see what's going to go on around them, what's coming up around them, and it can really help some people's mental health.
Yeah.
But it's all about balance. It's all about balance there, and as a reader, you've got responsibility in making sure it's healthy and they've got boundaries. But there's nothing to stop them if you say no, they could go somewhere else, and you're not going
Yeah, I mean, the ones that
to.
I mainly counsel, that's a bit different, but you're right. It is about personal responsibility, and I think it is all about the reader. The reader has a responsibility. We know only too well how many people are not always responsible, and there is a lot of people out there reading. I'm not knocking everyone out there that's reading. There's some very good readers, but we also know there's some very less good readers, and it is dangerous. It's a dangerous tool in the wrong hands, like any tool, and it does still go down to the person. So I always say to people, yeah, go for a reading if it helps, if it makes you feel good, but don't take everything for
Mm.
gospel. We're not 90, we're not 100% right there either. Unfortunately, it'd be nice. Sometimes we're a little bit out, and sometimes that free will does change it because they go out the door and go, "I'm not doing that," and that's not happening, and they go and change it anyway. Sometimes I think they change it, and it just makes their life harder because it'll happen one way or the other. It just might not happen the way we said. But yeah, I agree. Tarot is a great tool, but it's also got to be used wisely by the client and the reader.
Yes. Healthy boundaries with it.
Yeah.
Every 6 to 9 months is a good, just one between that time or once a year is a good guide, unless it's
I could say
completely
6
different.
months.
If it's completely different, like I've got a new job or I've got this chance, can we see what's going on? If it's not a general, then that could be done a little bit more. But yeah, just sometimes people can get too addicted to it and not having that responsibility. But it doesn't take long for them to snap out and most of the time it's just because they're in a really shit place.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
just need that for 5 minutes. But then with the correct delivery, you can kind of coach them into being like, you don't need to have this. This is what's going on. I'm going to tell you the same again if you come back in 2 weeks' time. Let's see what else we can work with to
Yeah.
help do it.
Yeah, I agree. So on that night, no, night, it is night. We are filming at night. But on that note, I am going to say thank you to Kate, the glasses slipping off, for joining me. And thank you to
Good.
everyone. I will put all your page details up when it goes out on YouTube. This does go out on YouTube. It goes out on Spotify. I think you've got a YouTube channel as well, haven't you?
Everything's under my name, Kate May Modern Day
Yeah.
Miss.
So you will be able to find Kate and all her activities and stuff that she offers. And like I said, Feng Shui is very fascinating and very, I think, apt at the moment for people that want to get out of some stagnant energy. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kate, for helping me. We will
Yeah.
get Co on, her partner in crime. Well, her partner in marriage, really. And that'd be an interesting one because I love the fact we've all got such different views on what goes on with the higher beings. So on that note, bye and see you all soon.